Curiosity Club, an exciting show based around fascinating STEM topics that you can tune into on YouTube and Camglen Radio 107.9 FM. I'm Tess.
Rosie.
And I'm Janice.
And as usual, we've got a lot of interesting things coming up, like a really cool video about sound and lots of fun jokes and facts.
Speaking of fun facts, did you know that sound travels with a speed of 767 miles per hour? That's really, really fast, but it can't travel through a vacuum. So it's to do with particles. But in the sea, in water, particles are closer together than they are in the air. So sound can actually travel 4 times faster in water than it does out of water. Really interesting. The frequency of sound, because of the speed, is different, and dogs can actually hear at a higher frequency as compared to humans. So it means that they can hear some sounds that we can't. However, flies, and I really didn't know this, flies can't hear at all. They can't even hear their own buzzing. I know, like when you get a fly in the house and it's buzzing around you, it's really annoying. They don't even hear that. They don't know how annoying they're being. Nobody should tell them.
Great fact.
Did you know that human ears are specially designed to catch every little sound, sort of like a funnel? And that deep inside our ears, there are actually tiny bones and an eardrum. And that lightning actually makes the way for us to hear thunder, because a bolt of lightning will heat up the air particles very quickly, and these particles are then pushed outwards that makes a huge sound, and a wave, also known as thunder.
Very cool. And sound actually comes from small vibrations, and these vibrations create sound waves, which move through mediums such as air and water before reaching our ears. And the scientific study of sound waves is known as acoustics.
Now it's time to learn more about sound.
Hi, it's Matt here from Camglen Radio. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what sound is. We use sound all the time. When we went to cross the road safely, we're listening out for cars, or we're listening for the traffic lights to make that sound they make. When we're talking to each other, when we listen to music, when we're playing sports, we use noise all the time, we use sound all the time. When I make a noise, like when I talk or when I clap my hands like this, I cause vibrations in the air particles, called sound waves, that my ear detects and sends information about to my brain. It's a little bit like when you talk, the air shakes very quickly. You can't see it, it's too small to see. But that disturbs the air around our ears, and our ears pick that up and sends information to our brain. Now, the vibrations from sound don't just travel through air, they can travel through water, and they can also travel through solid objects. Okay? Now, an example of what sound travelling through water might be when, if you've ever been swimming and you've put your head under the water, you can still hear sounds. So if there's maybe other swimmers in the pool and they splash about, or they maybe drop something in the pool, you can still hear it. It might sound a little bit different down there because the speed of sound is different underwater than it is in the air. An example of sound travelling through a solid object might be when a doctor or a nurse uses a stethoscope on your chest to check your pulse. When they do this, your heart creates a vibration in the sort of metal piece of the stethoscope, and this vibrates through the stethoscope tubing that goes into the doctor or nurse's ear. Okay? Now, when we think about sound vibrating air particles, we can't see it, but we can copy it by doing this. Now, I've got a bowl of water here. Okay, now, you've maybe noticed this before. Again, if you've ever been swimming and you've jumped in the pool, and there's waves that will go around the person who's jumped in the pool. We can see this. Now, I'm using my smartphone here. Just like most smartphones these days, it's got the option to slow down the video. Okay, so I am going to hover my camera above the water like this, start filming, and I'm going to drop a coin in here. Okay, Now, that may be quite hard to see, but the water's shaking, okay? When I dropped a coin in there, it vibrated the water. And the water, there was waves in the water, okay? It's exactly like that when you talk and you make a sound. You can imagine the air is doing that. It's vibrating just like what it did there. Okay.
Curiosity! Now time for some more fun facts about sound. Do you know what is louder than a car horn? Anybody know? Could you imagine? What could possibly be louder than a car horn? Well, lots of things, but actually the cry of a baby.
So, right.
Yeah, I know. I found that really surprising because when you hear a car horn, you get a bit of a fright. Not so much when a baby cries, but a baby crying is about 115 decibels. Actually, the loudest natural sound on Earth is the sound of a volcano erupting. So you could hear that for miles and miles and miles around. Something that has no sound is wind. Wind doesn't actually, so you see when you say, oh, I can hear the wind, it's not the wind you can hear, it doesn't have any sound. The sound is created only when the wind blows against obstacles. So what you can hear is it blowing against like trees and buildings, but sound in general doesn't actually have any sound, wind.
That's really interesting. It'll be a different experience next time I'm out in the wind.
You can try and think about what it is that it's hitting off of that you can hear.
It's really cool.
Wow.
And have you ever wondered kind of how to define music? Like what is it exactly? So it can be quite hard to define, but it's often described as a pleasing or meaningful arrangement of sounds, which I think is lovely, because sound can be a bit chaotic. You know, it could just burst your head if it's not in a nice order. But I guess music is just putting nice sounds in a nice order that is very pleasing to the ear. And on that note, excuse the pun, why did the brass section think it was better than the strings?
I don't know.
It was blowing its own trumpet.
Very good.
There you go.
I found a kind of fun experiment that everyone can try at home. So if you place your hand over your throat and hum a tune, when you do that, you should feel a vibration. And this is your vocal cords moving very rapidly back and forth. So sound is like this vibration when it moves through objects. A purring cat is also another excellent way to feel sound at work. Also, did you know that there is no sound in space because there's nothing for it to bounce off of?
That was great. Now it's time to learn more about how your ears work.
Now, you all wanted to know how our ears work, so let's have a wee look. The first thing we'll need to have a look at is the outer ear. Now that's the wee bit that is actually on the outside of your head. Here's mine. Okay, now, why do you think it looks like that? What does it remind you of? Well, it's actually a little bit like a satellite dish. You might see similar things on the side of people's houses, not actual ears, but satellite dishes. What happens is the sound travels through the air and bounces all around the wee bits and is directed into your ear canal. Let's pop that back. Okay. Now, it bounces all around the outer ear, like I was saying, and is reflected towards your ear canal. This takes the sound to the eardrum, which is then made to vibrate by the sound. So remember, we were saying in the video earlier, when we make a sound, it vibrates all the air particles. Now that's now vibrating your eardrum, which is inside your head. This, in turn, causes three very small bones to vibrate. That's the malleus, the incus, and the stapes bones, and they will vibrate with the eardrum. The bones then vibrate towards the cochlea, which is a little bit like a snail shell, and it's filled with liquid and has lots of wee hairs inside it. When the sound vibrates the cochlea, the fluid inside your cochlea also shakes back and forth, and it affects the wee hairs that are inside the cochlea. That then travels as electrical signals to your brain, and that's how your brain hears the sounds. That's how, when you hear a sound, your brain says, oh, that's the sound of someone talking, or that's the sound of a car going by, or something like that. Now, a few wee fun facts here. The cochlea also helps you with balance as well, because if someone hangs you upside down, all the fluid in your cochlea will go to the other side of the cochlea, which means that you will be able to tell that you're upside down even if your eyes are closed. You'll just be able to sense that something's not right. Have you ever been, spinning around lots and lots? It was quite fun on these spinny chairs. And you get up and you try to walk and you're dizzy. What happens there is that the fluid inside your cochlea is still spinning all around, and that confuses your brain, and you can't really tell where you are until the liquid calms down and it's not spinning anymore. So that's how useful our ears are. Okay, now back to the studio with Tess, Rosie and Janice.
That was great. Here's an interesting fact. An echo is produced when sound waves are bounced off of an object rather than being observed. I actually really liked a band called Echo. You've probably heard of them before. That was a bad one.
Good.
Heard of them before. So earlier on, Tess talked about the sound of thunder and how that was created. But did you know that you can actually count how far away a thunderstorm is from you? So how you do that is when you see lightning, you then count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and continue until you hear thunder. And then you divide that by 5, and the answer will tell you how many miles away the storm is from where you are. So if you count to 10 Mississippi, then the storm is 2 miles away from your house or wherever you are. If you play the guitar, for all you guitar players out there, if you want to know the secret to making it sound better, then stay tuned.
Cool, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, only sound technicians, I guess, would maybe get that, or guitar players. Speaking of, you should never tell a sound technician how they're doing their job. They hate feedback.
Very good. Yeah, so the loud noise you hear by cracking a whip occurs because the tip is moving so fast that it breaks the speed of sound, and it's also known as, and some of you might have heard this before, it's called a sonic boom. So like fighter jets might make that kind of sound, but also some creatures who, like maybe a scorpion, who have a really fast moving tail. I know it's might be quite hard to believe, but they can also break the sound barrier, which I think is just a pretty cool fact. Wow. How did the phone propose to his girlfriend?
Oh, how?
He gave her a ring.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll be back next time to learn about the weather
and more fun experiments.
You can catch all of that next time on Camglen Radio and Healthy and Happy's YouTube page. Until next time, I'm Tess.
I'm Janice.
And I'm Rosie.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.